I am Sophia Nwankwo. I went through thick and thin in the university. My beauty, that was supposed to be a precious gift, turned into a huge curse. This is my story.
In the year 1992, on the 25th of December, David and Angela met in their early 20s at one of their village festival celebration, and it was love at first sight. David was a kind-hearted businessman, and Angela was a gentle, caring teacher. They were inseparable, sharing dreams of building a loving home and raising a family together. After a beautiful wedding filled with joy and hope, they looked forward to having children, eager to start the next chapter of their lives. However, their dream didn't come easily. For 4 long years, they tried to have a child, but nothing seemed to work. They visited doctors, prayed earnestly, and supported each other through every disappointment. Their home was filled with love, but the absence of a child left an ache in their hearts. Just when they were starting to lose hope, Angela discovered she was pregnant. The joy and relief were overwhelming, and they thanked God every day for the miracle growing inside her. When Sophia was born, it was as if all their prayers had been answered in the most beautiful way. From the moment they saw her, David and Angela were amazed by her beauty. She had bright eyes, soft caramel skin, and a smile that seemed to light up the room. They couldn't believe they had been blessed with such a perfect, beautiful daughter. They decided to name her Sophia, which means wisdom, but David often called her a beauty, a nickname that stuck as a reminder of the precious gift she was. David and Angela swore to raise Sophia with love, care, and strong values. They taught her the importance of kindness, humility, and self-respect. They knew their daughter's beauty would attract attention, but they were determined to guide her, ensuring that she grew up to be a confident and principled young woman, unshaken by the challenges the world might throw at her. Sophia grew into a stunning young woman, her beauty impossible to ignore. She had smooth, glowing brown skin that made her stand out. Her big, dark eyes were bright and expressive, framed by long lashes that gave her a captivating look. She had high cheekbones, a small, perfectly shaped nose, and full, pink lips that formed a sweet smile, often showing cute dimples. Her thick, curly hair fell down her back, always looking soft and shiny. Sophia's body was slim but curvy, and she carried herself with a natural grace that turned heads. Even in simple clothes, she looked effortlessly beautiful, like she was made to be admired. Her beauty was not just in her looks but also in her kind and confident presence, which made her unforgettable. After years of hard work, Sophia finally gained admission to her dream university, where she hoped to study law. The thought of becoming a lawyer filled her with pride and excitement. She dreamed of defending the innocent and standing up for what was right. However, Sophia's excitement quickly faded as she faced an unexpected challenge. Her beauty, which many admired, became a curse in the university. It wasn't long before she noticed the lingering stares, the suggestive comments, and the inappropriate advances from some of her male lecturers. They were powerful men, each holding the key to her academic success, but they all seemed to want the same thing: they wanted her. Sophia was horrified when her criminal law professor first approached her. He called her to his office under the guise of discussing her grades, but quickly turned the conversation personal. He leaned in close, his eyes dark with intent. "You're a smart girl, Sophia," he said, his voice low. "But you're not using your assets wisely. Spend some time with me, and you'll see your grades improve." Sophia recoiled, her mind reeling. She politely declined and left the office, her heart pounding. She had always believed in her abilities, but now she felt trapped. The threats weren't direct, but they were clear: play along, or pay the price. One by one, other lecturers tried the same thing. They would call her to their offices, offer to help her with her studies, and then make their intentions known. Each time, Sophia stood her ground and refused. She had been raised to value her dignity and self-respect above all else, and she wouldn't let anyone take that from her, no matter the cost. But the cost was high. After refusing their advances, her grades began to slip. Assignments she knew she had completed correctly came back marked down, and exams she studied for tirelessly showed failing grades. It was as though the entire system was against her, punishing her for daring to say no. Each failure felt like a slap in the face, but Sophia didn't want to give up. Despite her efforts, the pattern continued. Her GPA dropped, and her dreams of becoming a lawyer began to seem impossible. Her friends noticed the change in her, but she was too ashamed to tell them the truth. She stayed up late, studying harder, hoping that somehow, her knowledge would outshine the corruption. But every time, it was the same story. She confided in her closest friend, Clara, hoping for some much-needed support. Clara was her roommate, a beautiful girl with sharp features and a keen sense of style. She was one of the first people Sophia had met on campus, and they'd quickly become close. Sophia often admired Clara's boldness and confidence, thinking they were kindred spirits in their pursuit of academic success. One evening, after another failed exam, Sophia sat on her bed, her eyes red from crying. Clara watched her, a flicker of something unreadable passing through her eyes. "You know, Soph," Clara began, casually flipping through a magazine, "you're making this way harder than it needs to be." Sophia looked up, confused. "What do you mean?" Clara sighed, as though what she was about to say was the most obvious thing in the world. "You're beautiful, smart, and you have all these opportunities right in front of you. Why fight it? Just play along with them. Do what they want, and you get your grades back up. It's not like it means anything. They're just men." Sophia's heart sank. She had always thought Clara understood her, but this felt like a betrayal. "I can't do that, Clara. That's not who I am. I didn't work this hard to get here just to sell myself out." Clara shrugged, barely hiding a smirk. "Suit yourself. But you can't keep failing. No one will care about your morals if you don't graduate." For the first time, Sophia felt genuinely torn. Clara's words lingered in her mind like a persistent echo. Maybe Clara was right. Maybe she was fighting a losing battle, one that she couldn't win on her own. As Sophia's thoughts spiraled, she began to consider it just once, just enough to pass. But deep down, she knew it wasn't who she was. The turning point came a few days later. Sophia received a text message from Professor Daniels, who had been the most persistent. It was a threat disguised as a reminder, "Last chance, Sophia. Meet me tonight, or your grades stay as they are." Sophia stared at the message, her hands trembling, feeling cornered like never before. She was about to give in when, out of the corner of her eye, she noticed Clara's phone buzzing on the desk. Out of habit, she glanced at the screen and saw an incoming message that made her freeze. It was from Professor Daniels. The preview of the message read, "Good job keeping her on the ropes. Let's make sure she doesn't pass until she cooperates." Sophia's breath itched as the pieces fell into place. Clara had been working with the lecturers all along. Jealous of Sophia's beauty, intelligence, and how she effortlessly captured attention, Clara had been manipulating the situation from the start. She was feeding information to the lecturers, encouraging them to pressure Sophia, and subtly pushing her towards giving in. Sophia felt a surge of anger and betrayal. Clara wasn't her friend, she was the reason her academic life had been turned into a nightmare. Determined not to let Clara's scheme succeed, Sophia took screenshots of the messages and saved them as evidence. One day, after failing yet another exam, Sophia sat alone on a bench in the university garden, tears streaming down her face. The weight of it all felt unbearable. She had done everything right, yet nothing was working. For the first time, she considered dropping out. What was the point of fighting if the odds were always against her? Just then, a soft voice interrupted her thoughts. "Sophia." It was Professor Williams, a lecturer in the sociology department. He was known for his integrity and was one of the few lecturers who never made her feel uncomfortable. "Are you okay?" he asked, sitting down beside her. Sophia hesitated, but something in Professor Williams' kind eyes made her feel safe. Slowly, she opened up, pouring out her frustrations, her fears, and the harassment she had been enduring. She expected him to brush it off or tell her to keep quiet, but instead, he listened attentively, his expression turning from concern to outrage. "This is unacceptable, Sophia," he said firmly. "No student should ever go through this. You're not alone, and I'm going to help you." With his support, Sophia decided to take a stand. They gathered evidence, including emails and messages from the lecturers who had propositioned her and screenshots from Cora's phone. With Professor Williams' guidance, she filed a formal complaint against them with the university's administration. The process was grueling, and the lecturers tried to intimidate her into silence, but Sophia refused to back down. News of the scandal spread across the campus, and students rallied behind Sophia, sharing their own stories of harassment. The university, now under immense public pressure, launched a full investigation. Several lecturers were suspended and eventually dismissed, facing legal action for their misconduct. Sophia's courage paid off. Her grades were reevaluated, and she passed her courses. More importantly, she had exposed the corrupt system, paving the way for future students to study in a safer environment. Sophia went on to graduate with honors, her head held high. Sophia's story became an inspiration for others, a reminder that standing up for what is right often comes at a high cost, but it's a price worth paying. She had faced down her fears and, in the end, won not just her education, but her dignity as well. Sophia's courage not only saved her academic career but also exposed the corrupt network that had victimized other students. Clara's jealousy had backfired spectacularly, leaving Sophia not just victorious, but stronger and more determined than ever. She went on to graduate with honors, proud that she had stayed true to herself, no matter the cost.